Hello, welcome back to Galactic Reviews. And this week watched the movie Mickey 17, starring Robert Pattinson, Mark Ruffalo, and other people I don't remember or know. The story is about a guy who gets cloned multiple times because he dies on missions multiple times and he essentially gets reset, blah, blah, blah. And at one point, he is supposedly dead, doesn't die, but he's already cloned. So you got that kerfuffle, and they say that's a crime. I enjoyed I guess the concept of the movie. I thought it was fun. Thought it was a very fun concept. I just wish that they would have delved more into it a little bit, maybe. I mean, it was humorous, and just wish they would have delved more into because like it kind of hinted towards like them, like whether or not like he's the real, if he like carried on, or if like they're different people now, like how that all worked out, or like if any of them were ever like they kind of hinted towards that, but it kind of just went straight into more. After that, it kind of went straight into more jokes and like him wanting to kill the mayor guy. And I mean, for that one, it was for 18, it made sense for him. But I
Indeed,
just
it
wish they
did.
would have. I wish they would have delved more into it a little bit. But I understand probably why it was made to just be humorous, not to be like so philosophical of a movie.
Yeah.
The best thing about this movie is Robert Pattinson, and that's about the only part I remembered. I had to think about this movie for a while. I was like, "What happened in this movie?" All I can think of is Robert Pattinson, you know. So,
Yeah. I mean,
but
that's about 80% of the movie, Robert
yeah,
Pattinson.
which I mean, it was still fun. He's a good actor, and he played two roles remarkably well. I think the only complaint I had was if it's the same guy, why does he have a different accent why does 17 have a different accent than 18? But that could have just been tonality, and also they could have wanted to distinct him,
Mm.
both 17 and 18 more so, which I mean he did. I don't think the accent change was needed, but I mean he could have just been told that. But yeah, no, I enjoyed this movie, but I'm not gonna say I love this movie. I think it was good. I think everything was shot well. I didn't really care that much for Mark Ruffalo or his character. I don't know if it was just the way that he was directed, partly because of it being seeming like a play on Trump in a lot of places. But I
Hmm.
also get that they were trying to go for the politician that couldn't make it one place and decided to try to make it another place.
Hmm.
So I got what they were doing there and how they were trying to set up that villain, but they also tried to make it kind of too similar to Trump in some areas.
Hmm.
And I found that problematic. I didn't like it. I don't know how else to say that. I didn't like
I
that bit.
understand that. Yeah.
So I know some people will probably love that bit. Some people will probably not care about it. And then there's going to be some people like me that'll not like it at all. So I just don't like politics in movies if I'm not going to the movie for like like politics reason.
And by that, you mean you don't like when they try to reference real world politics in
Yeah,
the
in a
movie.
movie that's like not supposed to be about politics. This was kind of like a sci-fi kind of funny humor
Yeah.
movie, and that's not what I was like, hoping for in this movie was
Yeah.
to get politics. I got what they were going for, like kind of like humorous version
Hmm.
of what Trump is, but I mean, it kind of landed a little bit too on the nose. That's all. That's all my praise and complaints that I've got for this movie. It Robert Pattinson was good, and that's for the longest time. That's the only thing I could think of when I was thinking of what Mickey 17.
What do
Like
I think?
it shouldn't be this hard to think about this movie. We watched it 3 days ago.
Yes.
It was fun. I wouldn't mind like seeing it like if it's on a plane and it's up there and like none of the other movies I've
Yeah.
and like none of the other movies are good and all the other movies I've seen before and I
Hmm.
don't really care to watch those. I'll probably
It's
watch
one of
Mickey
those movies
17.
that there are definitely a lot of other movies you'd rather watch first,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
there's a bunch of other movies you would rather not watch again.
Okay.
Like you'd
Like
be fine if you
Yeah,
watch this. It just wouldn't be first on the list.
yeah, no, it would not be. Robert Pattinson makes this a higher movie than it probably should be, in my opinion, because he does a good job acting and is very charismatic with both characters that he plays, both versions of Mickey. And I guess even the third version he plays at the flashbacks at the beginning, which is the only real one that we kind of get
Yeah.
to know other than the 17 and 18.
Yeah. Mickey Prime.
Yep. Yeah. No, overall, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Definitely not a first pick, but definitely not a last.
Yeah, I'll
I feel
probably.
like you liked it a lot more than I did.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I did. I mean, I'm only going to give it a 7.5. I mean, there was nothing outstanding about it. It was just more funny than a lot of other, I guess, comedy movies that I've seen recently. It had a
Yeah.
little bit more substance to the plot and the jokes. Like we watched Red One, and while that was funny, it was kind of like a low budget film with a big budget. This one was like it had a good story, it had good acting, it had good actors, it had an interesting concept while also being funny. So that bumps it a little bit higher than like the most recent comedy, which I think it might have been Red One was the most recent comedy I saw.
Yeah.
But 7.5. And don't get me wrong, I loved Red One. I thought Red One was hilarious.
I thought Red One was better than this one, but I understand like this one had a way better plot and premise
Yeah.
going for it. Yeah,
So
no,
I give this a 7.5. I mean, absolutely, Robert Pattinson carries the movie. He's playing two roles simultaneously, and it was very nice to see that the technology that we have the same actor standing next to himself, essentially, has gotten better where it doesn't just look so like photoshopped in as it used to.
yeah.
Um,
I can think of a lot of TV shows where they do the whole duel thing. Gilligan's
yeah,
Island, Hogan's Heroes, they do that often. A-Team even did that, and that was in the 80s, and it still didn't look it was better, but it wasn't as forced. Like you're seeing definitely like like the same camera, same angle, just two different shots. This made it look way more seamless.
yeah, and there were scenes where they were actually standing next to each other when we
Yeah.
could see their faces, and it looked fine. It looked great. So that was actually kind of refreshing when I saw that. I was like, wow, doesn't look bad. Robert Pattinson carried. He was the shining light of the movie. He is a much more incredible actor than a lot of people give him credit for, but that's just because of his past. People think of Robert Pattinson and they think of Twilight. If they don't think of Twilight, they think of Harry Potter.
It'll
But now
probably
he's trying to change that.
it'll change eventually, but
I mean, he's got the
it's good.
Batman, he's got this, and he's got the Lighthouse under his belt.
It's gonna take a while though. I still think it's
Yeah,
gonna
so
take time. I just
he's working on it, and it's
yeah, no,
working.
he's a good actor. It's just he needs to get good movies to go with his
Exactly.
good
Yeah.
acting.
Exactly.
No.
I guess what you were saying about Mark Ruffalo's character, just like that thought didn't occur to me at all that it was a
Yeah,
character until you mentioned it. And I was like, oh, yeah, actually, yeah, I can see
I didn't
that.
see it until he did the Trump dance and and then I was like, oh crap.
I just,
And then I
I
couldn't
just don't think
unsee
about
it the
Trump
whole
enough
movie.
to see a caricature of him and then see him unless it's like an actual impersonation.
Well, I wouldn't have cared, except I wouldn't have cared if it was like a good caricature and they had fun with it, but also made it feel like its own character. Instead, a lot of the time it just felt
No, I,
like,
I, I agree. It probably for the people that doesn't hit comedically with, it
yeah,
probably would have been just a better idea to have a generic politician and create a different personality around it, other than
yeah.
something that was, in hindsight, pretty on the nose about being a jab at Trump. It's just I didn't notice it during the movie, so it wasn't as on the nose as like, say, an SNL impersonation would be.
Oh no, yeah, I get it. Like if you don't see it at first,
I didn't see it
no
at all.
worries, it's not gonna hurt you that much. But once
Yeah.
you see it, it's kind of hard to unsee.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing was it was his wife's actress. I was telling you earlier, I cannot see her the same. And I'm gonna share screens because I need you to see this because this is Hereditary is an A24 horror film. Very good, very well made horror film, high production, good acting, really intense story. And I want to make sure that I have the audio on because I want you to see this because every time I see her actress, I cannot get this meme out of my head. Hopefully you can hear it.
From my island.
Because in the actual movie, I mean, obviously her face isn't glammed up, but like she does do this traumatized face straight to a deadpan.
Uh-huh.
And the plot point of it is her mind gets broken via trauma, and then that allows her to be possessed.
Okay.
So whole emotion gets dropped. And maybe I'm just reaching too far. I think they paralleled that meme in the movie because the last scene we saw of her was
Yeah.
crying, sobbing for her husband, and then the very next scene she walks out deadpan.
Yeah, no, it could have been.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Um, but I cannot take that actress seriously anytime I see her because of how many times I've seen Hereditary. Overall, just like yeah, an enjoyable movie. I think they definitely could have gone farther with the kind of ethical conversation talking points around the concept of cloning.
Mm.
But I mean, obviously, it wasn't the point of the movie. It was just to use something that sparks ethical conversations in a comedy light.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna take something that is an ethical concern, a future ethical concern, but we're just gonna make a comedy about it instead of actually trying to make you think the whole movie, which I was fine with.
I wish they would have leaned more into the comedy. I think I would have liked it a lot more.
Yeah, I don't know. I laughed a lot. I thought it was pretty funny.
There were moments that were funny. Yeah, I'm not gonna deny that. Like when the old guy is just sitting there taking pictures as he got like a dual chainsaw that I don't know
Yes,
how that would work exactly, but
yes,
you got a dual chainsaw going to this guy's back, and he's just like, we could just talk about this. You don't have to do this to me, like all nonchalantly until
yep.
like, that
Takes off
was
takes off his shoe because it's expensive after
yeah, yeah,
taking it off.
yeah.
No, yeah. It's definitely not a pure comedy.
Also, like
It's
how the shoe didn't have any blood on it, but when
yeah,
they
that
showed
too.
it, even though
It's
it's like
it's
right by a cut off calf,
yeah. It's definitely not a pure comedy. It's
no,
comedy mystery, comedy suspense, comedy drama. Because it does have like an actual plot that's
yeah,
not existing for the point of the comedy. It has a plot and they're using that plot. They're adding comedy to the plot. So it did have the what happens when you have two clones, like what's the ethical dilemma if they're both two separate but also the same people? And then the also problem of like colonizing another planet. How do we treat the inhabitants and the different views that can take? It was interesting, but
yeah.
they just kind of were like, here's some things to think about. We're not going to address it though. You have fun thinking about it.
Yeah, because I mean, it also does bring up. I thought about this after the movie, but one of the things that Mickey keeps on getting asked is, "What's it like to die?" But yet the brick only takes him from his last memory, so he wouldn't have the memory of his death. So I don't know how exactly that would
Oh,
work. So I don't know if they thought
yeah.
that one through, but I get what they were
They
going for. I just don't think they like unless the
yeah, 'cause
brick is Neuralinked and they keep on doing it repeatedly,
no,
almost
they mentioned that they upload it. He has to do it once a week, and I'm sure
yeah,
they have exceptions for like the guy that lasted 10 minutes or something. But he has
well,
to do it
yeah.
once a week. Um,
Well, I don't know if they did or not. Like that's the thing though.
they
Like
might
how
not have.
like
Yeah.
if they didn't do them and they just did them like repeatedly, really quickly, like
So you're
does
right.
he
He
even remember
shouldn't
those
know what
deaths?
it's like to die.
Yeah,
He shouldn't,
he shouldn't really know what it's like to die.
unless they for some without telling us, they did it to him while he was dying, and now he has that permanent thing in his head.
I mean, that's possible, but one of them was out in space, one of them was on the
I'm just
surface
saying
of the
like one of the times.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm sure, but I mean like
But also, I don't see the benefit of that because you could reprint him out, and now he's like a traumatized, broken, useless person.
which I mean he kind of does become by like two different versions of that by 17 and 18. 17 he's like very repressive and doesn't want to do much of anything. 18 he wants to kill the world. So that's just
That is one thing I wish they explained was because if this is we are printing out a meat body, and then we are putting your downloaded memories and personality into it. Why are the personalities slightly different every time? Because
pro-
if it's an exact download, it should be an exact upload, and it would be the exact same person.
I mean you
But
would think so, but
you
I
would
guess
think
it
so,
could
but
be.
they just didn't touch on it. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe with the one example of where the guy tripped over the cables and one popped out, maybe, but that's a one-off,
possibly.
not every
Possibly.
single time, which they
Well,
mentioned it happens every single time.
but what they could well, I mean it also could depend on what his like first interactions are when he comes back. So that could be
I mean, it's weird.
I don't know. They maybe they could have
They just
explained that a
didn't they
lot
didn't
better.
give
They
a
just didn't.
reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they just
You
didn't
can
give a
speculate.
reason.
They just didn't give anything, so we're left being like, why? And
Yeah,
also with the what is death like? He should be like, I don't know.
I mean he remembers almost dying at one point with the gun to his head at the beginning of the.
Yeah, but
But
that's just
like
like a
other than
life
that,
flash
he's
before
like
your eyes.
he shouldn't really know like what how close to death it is like other than maybe one Prime, and then 17 is the only the one that knows this is what it's like getting this close to death.
Exactly, yeah.
So
And surviving.
yeah,
Yeah. That's very true. Good thought. Hadn't thought about that.
I have
Yeah,
random thoughts.
not too much to talk about this movie. It was pretty solid with its production, pretty solid with its acting, with its writing. There isn't really any major gaps other than the small details we've been picking at.
Yeah.
It wasn't awful. It wasn't the best movie of the year. I would actually be surprised if it gets nominated for any awards other than it's
Other than Robert
possible.
Pattinson's thing, I wouldn't say it needs
Yeah,
any
no, I
awards.
I could say it's possible for maybe visual effects, probably
Best
not
actor and best supporting
cinematography.
actor go to
Yeah,
Robert Pattinson.
exactly. Actually, yeah. How would you classify that if he plays
I don't
both the
know.
actor, the main actor,
They're,
and the
they're,
supporting role?
are
I
they
mean, I
two
guess that would
different?
be
They're two
crazy.
different. They're two different roles though. So
That would be historic if the
that'd be
same actor both
hilarious.
the nomination. Oh, that would be fantastic. That'd be great. I hope so.
He goes up as Mickey 17 up at for this actor, and then 18 goes up as a supporting role. That'd be funny.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
That'd be hilarious.
Crossing our fingers because I want to see that now.
Well, I don't
Um,
watch the Oscars, so you'll just have to show me.
yeah. I think Robert Pattinson's the only one, other than maybe the visual effects for the aliens, because they looked
Yeah,
good.
those were well done.
They looked good.
I think I know that I know it's based off an animal I've seen before. I don't remember what the name of it is. It's
I
like a it's
wouldn't
like a
know.
microscopic bear, I think. Let's see.
Oh, the tardigrade.
Yeah. Yeah. Tardigrade. It kind of looks like this.
I
Kind of
know what
looks
a
like it
tardigrade is. Yeah.
just like with the face and like fur and like a
Yeah.
shell. But that's what it
Yeah.
looks like.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't
yeah.
be surprised if they took inspiration from that. Yeah. I mean, it was a cool design. I kind of like the bit of explode. It was kind of good. Um, Overall, yeah, just a solid, well-made comedy movie. Nothing special to write home about. Nothing in the excelling or in the awful category. It's just like, yeah, enjoyable.
The only thing I would say if you want to see this movie is if you want to look at good acting from Robert Pattinson, this is probably a very good movie to go see because he's doing two different roles. Other than that, I wouldn't say this is on my high recommends for
Yeah,
anybody.
this one I would say I mean we honestly should be doing this a lot more is talking about if we'd recommend going to see it in theaters or just waiting for streaming or not at all.
I mean,
Um
it always depends on who you on
yeah, but
who you
like
are, but
like Dune 2, I would be like go see that in theaters. That
well,
is an
I would say
experience
you have to
seeing
go
that on
see.
the big screen.
I would say you'd have to go see Dune 1 though before
I
you
mean,
go see
yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
it's a
This
good
one I'd be like
theatrical
you can wait to
experience.
streaming. You don't have to spend $20 to go see it
Oh
in the
yeah, for
theater.
sure. It'll
You can
probably
wait to
come
stream
out
for this
on
one.
what was this? Warner Brothers? It'll probably come out on Max in about
Yeah.
a couple
So you can
months.
wait. Thank you everyone for sticking with us for this edition of Galactic Reviews, viewing I almost called him Mickey 17. The fact that we did not at once at all bring out a Mickey Mouse impression is kind of impressive. We
I'm
should
not gonna
pat on
do
the
one
back for
now.
that. Um, so make sure you like and subscribe and let us know if there's anything you want us to watch or what you thought about this movie, or what you thought about our takes on the movie, because people are bold on the internet. Anyways, next up, we're gonna watch Novocaine, the new Jack Quaid movie. Crazy that he had two movies come out within like the span of a month. Um,
What was the other movie?
Companion.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was the one with the sex robot.
Yep. So, um, we'll see which Jack Quaid movie is more stimulating.
Based on the trailers, I'm gonna say Novocaine.
Yep. So
Well, I
join
guess
us next time for that.
depends on what stimulation you're looking for, I guess.
You caught on to why I chose the word.